Are you working with someone you can't stand? We've all been there. Working with people I want to punch in the throat has been called relatable and laugh out loud hilarious. Read the stories about all the crazy people Jen Mann has worked with over the years. Find out who she wants to punch in the throat. Working with people I want to punch in the throat is now available everywhere books are sold.
Hi, I'm Denise Grover-Swank.
And I'm Jen Mann.
And we are two Midlife Mommas.
Welcome.
You know, I still sometimes have to look at that whiteboard to say her name. I don't know why. It's like I have it now. When we first started, we came up with the name the day of our first recording. And it's like I have it now. I'm like, okay, I'm going to screw this up and I need to look at the...
Yeah. I know, I'm always... In some places, it's the two Midlife Mamas, and then other places it's just Midlife Mamas, and so I'm like, I don't know what we are, and then I misspell mamas all the time.
Oh yeah, because that's the way I spell mamas, and
I'm the M-A-M-A person.
Yeah, sorry, I should have let Jen do that. So if you're looking for us, if you just accidentally stumbled upon us, it's Mommas,
which is the way Denise does it, and that is perfectly fine.
I know, I put that in books, and I have copy editors who try to change it. I'm like, oh girl, no. Oh girl, no.
You're like, that is my thing. That's funny because you get that, and I get fuckwit is what they're like, is that one word or two? And I'm like, that's just one. It's always been one. And they're like, okay, cool. So that's what my style sheet looks like.
Where mine is when I work with an actual publisher and they want to know your style. Yeah. I always say things like, I spell out O-K-A-Y, and I don't have a comma before two, T-O-O at the end of it. Yeah. And I have Oxford commas. I am Oxford comma till I die. So at least we agree on that. There you go.
We may not agree on how to spell mamas.
But that's okay. We as long as we agree on Oxford commas, this will work.
Oh gosh,
we're not splitting up yet.
No, never. No. But today we're talking about our accomplishments. Yes. And it's kind of ironic that we're talking about this for the second time. Because last week, we actually made this podcast already. Yes. We filmed it, we taped it, we did everything. It was our first time doing it by ourselves without supervision.
Yes, Ross set us up and then he left. And then I turned it off and it crashed.
We lost it. So that was not a big accomplishment.
Yes, because you probably already listened to the episode about sex, and he set us up and left, and then I got him to come and turn it off, and I'm like, okay, I can press a button, when we did the second one, he left. I'm like, okay, you can leave, but apparently I can't press a button.
No, he swears it wasn't your fault, that it was going to crash anyway.
He could have just been nice. But my other son also told me, he's like, oh, Mom, I listen to podcasts all the time, and they'll talk about how they recorded a podcast and it crashed too. So he goes, it does happen to even the bigger people.
Even legit podcasters.
Even legit.
Okay, good. Yeah. Well, that's good, because, and at least it wasn't a book that we lost, that we'd written or something.
Oh my God. Have you ever done that? Have you ever lost a significant amount of words before?
Knock on wood, I have not. Have you? You have. I've seen you.
I have. Yeah. I lost 10,000 words once. That was a killer.
Yeah. I think I might have quit writing.
I know, right? And then there was a book. Oh, my bonus. I have sometimes I'll give out bonus words, scenes or whatever. And so this bonus thing I did, I think I lost 3,000 words. And it was I almost decided, oh, we're not going to do this anymore. But you know what? The new words were better than the first set. So
and this podcast will be better than the last. It can't be worse, that's for sure.
Because we had a hard time owning up to our accomplishments, because we're trying to talk about being proud of our accomplishments, and so there was a lot of I did this, and
there's a lot of we either humble bragged,
yes,
or we just sort of were like, oh, it's not that big of a deal. I mean, I'm just a Wall Street Journal bestseller, So, but I do want to start this. It is a good thing we're redoing it, because really, honestly, of course me, because I am an egotist. An egotist? Yeah, I'm a narcissist. I have no problem owning my accomplishments. I'm just hell yeah, I did that. I'm fucking amazing. If anything, people have to temper me. They have to be Jen, chill. You're not that great. But Denise,
I disagree. You are that great.
Thank you. Yeah. But Denise was having a hard time, and I was like, "Are you kidding me? You are a BFD." And since we did that podcast and then we lost it, in the meantime, we went to a conference together and Denise won. What did you win, Denise?
Best mystery author.
A BFD award. And I was at this conference with Denise, and I've never been to this conference before, and there were a lot of authors there, tons and tons of authors. But
there were hundreds of authors.
Yeah,
there. Yeah.
She's like the rock star of the room. Like everybody was like people would come by my table, and like nobody knew who the fuck I was, but like.
That is not true.
You're right. 2 people knew who I was. And so people like come by, and because it's like a conference where it's mostly like, what would you say, like romance and like
and a lot of urban fantasy, paranormal,
urban fantasy. Lots. Like I am the only nonfiction person there. Like they're walking by my table and they're like, "What is this?" And if anything, I would have sold more T-shirts that said "People I want to punch in the throat" than books, because they were like, "Oh, I love the title, but I'd love it on a shirt." And I'm like, "Fuck you, it's a book." And but then people would like stop by, and then I would see like they'd have like Denise's books in their hands, and so I was like, "Oh, do you guys read Denise?" And they're like, "Oh my god, we love Denise. She's great." And I'm like, "I'm in a podcast with her." And then they would buy my book. And so thank you, Denise.
Oh, well, you're welcome, and hopefully they're listening to our podcast now.
Several of them did, because what would happen is I would say, I'm in a podcast with her. And then one person would be like, I listened to it. And they're like, oh. And then other people would be like, oh, I feel bad. Like, I mean, like I have it downloaded, but like I haven't like listened to it yet. And so I was like, go back to your room right now and listen to it. Because that is the other thing I'm really good at, is I'm very, very bossy. And I do get shit done. So I was like, I was like, did you drive here? Because we were in St. Louis, and they're like, yes. And I'm like, okay, so when you drive home tomorrow, like, listen, you have a long drive, listen to our podcast. There you go. So, and I did get several emails from people that said they did do that.
Oh, so, did you really? And hopefully they liked it.
They did.
Okay, good.
They did. Of course they did. There's no question.
That's right. Especially after we deleted the previous episode of this.
Yeah.
Where I kind of like him on around about my accomplishments.
So now that you've had extra time to think about it.
Yes.
Are you ready to talk about your accomplishments?
Yes, I'm ready. Let's do it. I will still qualify them all. Because that's what I do.
See, and I think that I come from sales. Like, I come from a sales background.
Yeah. And
all we do is spin. Like yesterday, Denise sent me some stat about our podcast, and she was like, hey, you know, what was it? In all of iTunes, we're like 550 or something like that. Yeah. And I was like, okay, so we have to look at it this way. In all of the millions of podcasts out there, we are under 600. We're in the top 600
there you go,
podcasts.
Right? There you go.
So it's like you always have to like spin it and make it sound better.
Yes.
And it's very hard, I think, though, for women to do that.
Yes.
I think it's a little bit easier to spin our professional accomplishments.
Yes, than our personal and
Yeah.
Agreed. Yeah, because not many people go around talking about I'm the greatest mother in the world.
I do have a mug. I've got the mug and the t-shirt.
And I have a keychain that my daughters bought me they made me buy it, that said I'm the cool mom.
Wait, they made you buy it?
Yes. So I was like, oh, that's so cute, but I can't. I said I can't buy that for myself. That just screams of desperation. You know, like those moms that want their teenage daughters to like them. Right. You know? So, but they're like, oh no, Mom, you are the cool mom. You should really get it. So I feel like I earned that keychain.
I think it kind of sucks that you had to buy it yourself.
I know. Well, that's true.
Next time, I think they need to buy it for you.
Agreed. That's true.
That's funny because the other day I was at, I don't know, like Home Goods or something with all the little funny signs. Yeah. And I always buy stuff that I'm going to like give away later. Like, and I bought one that said like, I'm the cool mom. And I brought it home and I had it sitting on my desk thinking like I should do a giveaway. And my son saw it and he's like, Mom, it's really lame when you buy that for yourself.
See? That's what I said. I said, I can't buy this keychain. And then I did.
But then I was like, would you have ever bought it for me? And he's like, no. And I was like, so at least your daughters encouraged you to buy it.
That's true. Yeah. That's true.
And then we were talking about things that we think that we're pretty good at. And I think one of the things we talked about was that you're a really good cook, right?
Yeah, I used to cook all the time back in the day. Back when there was a short period of time when I was a stay-at-home mom. And I am not meant to be a stay-at-home mom, so I needed something to like totally hyper-focus on, because I'm pretty sure I have ADD, and that's also a thing that I do, is like hyper-focus. So I cooked all the time. Like I cooked 3 meals a day and desserts, and I don't do that anymore.
I've never done that.
I've cycled through that. through that phase.
I'm no longer good at that.
But like my stepdaughters would come and they'd be like, "Oh, we brought stretchy pants because we know you're cooking." So yeah, that's probably when I gained 20 pounds because I was cooking in the South.
That's what I was
bacon.
Thinking.
Yeah. Because I love to bake and I'm pretty good at it.
Mm-hmm.
But my kids won't. They'll eat like the first time I make it and then nobody eats it again. And then I'm like, oh my God, there's half a cake there. I better eat it all so it's not in the way so I won't be tempted.
Let me just get this out of the way.
Just eat it and get it out of here.
I hate looking at this cake. It's just making me fat looking at it. I'm going to eat it.
Yeah, let's just eat it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I am not a good cook or a good baker. I think that's the other thing I'm really good at is I'm really good at admitting my faults too, though.
Yeah.
Like, I think I'm pretty fucking awesome in other ways, but not that way.
We can't be awesome in every way. No. I feel like I am like the jack of all trades and the master of none. I feel like I can do a lot of things pretty well, but not like be the greatest at it.
Yeah. I identify with that. I can see, like, what is it? I bragged that I had the mug. My mug actually just says "World's Okayest Mom." Because that is really kind of like the level. And that was the other thing we talked about was that you're kind of more of like a perfectionist.
Yes.
And I'm very much just like, I think this is really good. Yeah. like I'm really happy being in the top 600. And you're just like, I want to be number 1. And I was like,
I know. It's a bad thing though. Like, sometimes I can't enjoy what I have because I'm always like, well, if I was really good, I would have done better.
Okay, let's talk about that.
And I don't think I'm the only woman who does that.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
I mean, I see, like, that's what my whole cottage industry is about, is railing against, the fact that we don't celebrate.
Right.
Like, and that we do fixate on the perfection of things.
Yes, exactly.
And that we're not just stopping and enjoying. Like, you're so fixated on baking the pie that you're not sitting down and enjoying the pie with your family.
Right.
Like, you're not taking that time to, like, celebrate whatever you're celebrating.
Right.
And that's the part that, like, I'm always, like, on women about is that, now don't get me wrong, like, I could get off the couch sometimes and do some stuff too and finish things, but I think, though, that, like, the fact that, like, the women set the bar so high.
Yes.
And it's just really hard to be proud of yourself then because your bar is so high.
Yeah. Agreed. Yeah, no, I completely agree. And for some reason, and maybe I should get into therapy to figure this out, but like I always qualify everything I ever do. Like when I was number 1 in Barnes and Noble with a book, it was on sale. And so to me, it didn't count because it was on sale. And if it had been full price, then that maybe would have counted. But I kid you not, I know that if it had been full price, I would have been in my head going, well, it was a slow sales week.
Right.
And I didn't really have like I always find a reason to like downplay, like it not fully own and accept my accomplishment.
And celebrate. Do you celebrate your accomplishments?
I do. I do. Like we used to hit, the first time I hit USA Today list, we had Chinese food. So it kind of became a tradition that we would have Chinese food whenever I hit a list. So
but then you guys got sick of Chinese food.
Yeah, then my kids got tired
because you hit so many lists.
I think I've hit USA Today list 26 or 27 times.
Freaking nuts.
Yeah. That's just books. Then some books have been on there longer. So, yeah.
That is insane, you guys. Like, I don't think you understand, like, unless you're, like, a writer, because, like, writers, like, I've hit a list a couple of times, okay? And people think that's a big deal. People are like, oh, my God, how did you hit the list, like, twice, okay? To hit it as many times as you have, I don't care if the book was free. Like, because my whole thing is, like, especially, like, when I'm talking to writers, like, my whole thing is, like, it's going to speak for itself. The whole reason, nobody's buying a book because it's cheap.
Right.
They're buying a book because someone told them it was great.
Right.
You're going to have a few people that wander in on a cheap sale. But for the most part, you're going to have people who are like, oh, I heard about this book. I've just been waiting for it to go on sale so I could try it because my friend said it's so good, but I buy too many books. And so I had to wait till it goes on sale. And the fact that you have like all these reviews and the fact that you have all these, sale throughs with the rest of your series, like shit doesn't rise to the top, Denise.
Well, that's what I try to tell myself.
It just doesn't happen that way. Now, don't get me wrong. We've all read a shitty book that probably should not have been on the list. However, for the most part, I think that it's crazy. And I think the fact that, like, the other thing you guys don't know is, like, Denise has 6 kids
Yeah.
that she's raising by herself. Like, she's keeping down the fort. You have your own business. You have you manage all the family. I've never seen a nanny here.
Oh God, no. I actually tried one back in the summer when my youngest was 3 or 4. But I was working from home and it just didn't work because my youngest kept escaping the nanny. And so I would tell that she would only come 3 days a week. And I would say, okay, take them away. Like, take the children away. And she would sometimes, but sometimes she wouldn't. And it just didn't work because Emma wouldn't listen to her and she just like took off for me. So,
yeah. No, I think the fact that like we never really, do you think there's also something there about like women tearing each other down too?
Yes.
You know, it's like, because if you don't qualify, somebody else will qualify.
Right. Well, and in the back of my head, I hear other people I know other people watch me and they watch what I do. So like if I have a release that's not as great as I would like it to be, I also know that other people are watching a release that didn't do as well as I hoped it would. And they're back there going, oh, flipping, that book didn't do well or whatever. But I have to ignore those people. Like, it used to bother me a little bit, but now I just like, well, I can't control what other people think about me. I just have to control what I think. And even that's hard enough. Because like I did a keynote speech last fall on imposter syndrome. I have it big time. And for those of you who don't know, imposter syndrome is like when you're really good at something, but you don't feel like you qualify to be an expert or whatever, and you always like downplay it, which is exactly what we've been talking about. So, it's a real problem for a lot of women, because I think too, like we've had to fight so hard especially in the business world to get where we are. We have to sometimes be better. I don't think it's maybe as bad as it used to be, but like 20 years ago, like we had to be better than men to get promoted, because I worked in a medical lab that had about 50 or so employees. And there were about 5 of those employees were male, and 3 of them had supervisors. And they weren't more qualified than the women. The women were more qualified than most of them, but it was just because they were male. So I felt like we've always had to like try even harder, and I don't know.
Well, it's funny you say that, because just this week I met with a friend of mine, an old friend of mine who I've known since high school, and we were catching up. We only see each other about once a year in person. And so we were sort of catching up, and she said that she had a new job and that she's a supervisor now. She's like in management. And I was like, that's great. And she's like, I walk into a meeting though, and I feel like, she's like, I've prepared. I think I know, but I'm worried I don't know, that there's something I still don't know.
Right.
And I feel like, why am I here? Like, who thought this was a good idea? And, you know, and I was like, no, but you've been doing this job for like 20 years, you know? And I think that's the other thing is, and maybe this is a midlife thing too, is that, I don't know about you, but like, I don't feel like, I used to look at my parents at 47, and my parents were like successful and had put in 20 years in their careers and things like that. So my dad was management, you know, at this age.
Right.
And so, but I said, you know, do you think we're still like 20 or something? Like, do you still think we're too young to be managers? And she's like, it's a little bit of that, but it's also just the fact that I feel like I don't know enough. Like, maybe who made this decision? Who thought this was a good idea?
Well, I think it's also a case of the more you know, the more you realize you don't know. Like, it's really easy, I think, for people who kind of know, and they're like, oh, you know, I know so much. But then people who are really smart, I would think, realize the more they know, the more they don't know.
Right.
And so instead of capitalizing and focusing on the wealth of knowledge that we have, we still recognize that there's still stuff that we.
And I think it also boils down to ego too, because I think that women are just not as we just don't have the same sort of ego that men have. Like, I joke that like my son, you know, he's 14. It's like in their DNA. Like, it's been since birth.
Yeah.
He has been more confident than his sister.
Agreed. Yeah.
And they've been raised identically. You know, they have the same parents, all this thing, but yet they are so different. Because I would joke that, you know, he would watch a YouTube video on open heart surgery at, you know, 9, and he'd be like, I'm ready. Like, put me in. Like, I'll scrub in right now. You know, whereas my daughter watches a video on how to make friendship bracelets, and she's like, I can't. This is hard. You know, and I'm just like, come on. And I definitely have to think, like, that's kind of like my thing. And that was what I was telling my friend. I was like, I said, I just look around that table and I just think, I am so more prepared than every jackass sitting across from me.
Yeah.
like I stayed up for 4 hours last night, like studying this shit. Do you think that douchebag did that? Nah, he's just sitting there.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, he watched like reruns of Seinfeld last night or something. Like,
right.
Nah, he's not ready. And I said, but yet he has that confidence that he, you know, that he feels like I'm jumping. I'm ready.
I think too that as women, we feel like, you know, sometimes we're, you know, looked down upon.
Yes.
And so as women, we need to come in more prepared than a man, because a man just walks in and commands the room, and we have to sometimes fight for it.
We have to be more prepared, but yet we have to be quiet.
Yeah.
But smile. But friendly. But non-threatening. But like informative. But not too informative. You know, it's like all this shit. And I'm just tired of that. Yeah. That is the one best thing about being self-employed now. Because I did not do well in an office, believe it or not.
I'm shocked. Is that not where People I Want to Punch in the Throat came from? Or one of your books did. People. Yeah,
I have working with people I want to punch in the throat.
People I want to punch in the throat.
Yeah, like no HR manager will ever hire me again after that book, because it's like, I mean, I just felt like, no, this is bullshit. Like, why are we having, you know, I was that person who I was like, why do we have to have a meeting to have a meeting?
Thank you.
Like, why are we having a meeting to plan tomorrow's meeting? Let's just have tomorrow's meeting.
Yeah. I know,
like,
right?
What are we doing here? And so I think that, but yet a man could say that and everybody would be like, why are we having this meeting?
Yeah. No, I know. So, but also on the flip side, I feel like sometimes our worst critics are women.
Oh, 100%.
And then I'm trying to figure out why. I mean, why is that? I've been really thinking about that a lot lately. Is it because we've had to fight so hard that sometimes one woman will slip through, and so the other women are like, why wasn't it me? I mean,
I think it's well, from what I've seen, and especially like in our world of writing, you know, I noticed it I started out as a blogger.
Right.
And blogging was almost like, it was very hyper competitive, I felt like.
Yes, it was. Yeah.
And everybody was so, you know, they were so closed about their page views and, you know, how do you make money and, you know, that kind of thing. And when I broke through because I had a viral breakout that I wrote and it went crazy. And the emails I got were just like, you know, well, I could have done that. I'm really mad that I didn't do that. And I was just like, well, I'm really glad you didn't. I guess, like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, well, who starts an email that way? And then it was, hey, you know, can I post on your blog? Can I, you know, and I was like, no, sit down. Like, I don't even know you. Like, you know, take me out to dinner first before you try to fuck me. And so I got really kind of closed in, and I was sort of like, very like, no, get away from me.
Right.
But then as it progressed, I finally made some friends and found some real people. But then when I started pivoting towards books, I actually found you. Like, you were someone I found first because you were here in Kansas City.
Right.
I had a friend who worked for you, and she was like, hey, do you know my boss? Because my boss is like fucking amazing. And so I started looking into you, and I was like, oh my gosh, look at that. And you had a Facebook group, you and your friends, where you guys like told all the secrets.
Right.
You like told everybody how to succeed. Like, you're like, this is the map. I'm not going to do it for you, but like, here's the map. Like, it's up to you. And I wish you the best of luck.
Right.
Like, right. You know, and I found that the whole writing community, a lot of it is that way. Yes. Whereas blogging had been so like cliquey and closed off that the writers were so open.
Right.
And so I don't feel it near as much with the writers. I mean, of course, there's always still like those pangs of like, damn it, you know?
Right.
How'd she get through?
Right. And I will say that I think back in 2010, 2011, I started indie publishing in 2011, and I'm a hybrid now. So I've got traditional publishers and indie publishing, and I sell far more books. But anyway.
And I do not, ironically.
So, well, I think it's because you're nonfiction.
Yeah.
So, you know, everybody was like super helpful, and everybody was like, there's room for everybody. And then more and more and more authors started coming in, and I feel like sales started to slip. So I feel like there's not the camaraderie and every cheerleading of everybody can do this. There's more competition now.
Yes,
especially in some of the romance world.
Yeah.
There's a lot of competition and cutthroat and egos, but like my group of people, I don't see that, but I know it's out there because I see other people talking about it.
Well, and I think a lot of women will break through and they'll get through, but then they'll pull that ladder up behind them.
Yeah. Yes.
And that is the part where, like, I kind of saw this with your group that you guys left the ladder down. I've seen it with like other like traditionally published YA authors that I follow. They left the ladder down, and it's like the whole idea is at least for us is that we just want to create more readers,
right?
I just want my readers to read you. You want your readers to read me. Like we just want people to read. Like I don't, go read Margaret Atwood. Go read. I don't care who you read. Just please read a damn book. Because we just don't want our industry to go away.
Right. I'm like I've been amazed that I've had quite a few people tell me that they were not readers or they hadn't read for years, and then they read my book 28 and a Half Wishes, and now they're like voracious readers, and to me that's an accomplishment. The hugest compliment.
Yes.
So I'm like, lucky, I guess.
I don't know what it is about that book. I guess I really
say that when Apple, because I sell really, really, really well on Apple books, and so when they did some update and the books app was like part of the phone, part of the ISO update, and you didn't remove it. It was just there. 28 and a Half Wishes was like in the top 10 of free books. Maybe even number 1. I can't remember. So a lot of people saw it. A lot of people downloaded it. And so
got them started.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing. I think that the whole idea of kind of tearing each other down, I really try hard to work on that. Being that I write, people I want to punch in the throat, it's like I always try to punch up rather than down.
Right.
And I feel like, don't get me wrong, there are women out there I have attacked. There are women who drive me crazy. But for the most part, like when I started this Midlife Bites group, I was like, here's the thing, you guys, like, I don't want, like, if you want to fight, go fight somewhere else. Like, I'm all for a good fight. Like, I'll fight anybody any day of the week. But, like, in here, like, let's just, and support each other.
Yeah, right.
I'm just done.
And that's been surprising to me, because in that group, because I'm in that group.
Yeah.
I've some of the women that are just like so negative and tearing other women down. It's just like, especially at our age. Yeah. It's like we're kind of like not kids anymore, and we realize that we're all in this together. Yeah. You know what I mean? We need to support each other, not rip each other apart.
Right.
So,
no, that's why a lot of them that's probably the number reason why I ban people. Yeah. Is because they're just, they can't keep it in. And I'm like, we're not here to, like, I don't care how, like, unless it's something dangerous or something like that, I don't care how you parent. I don't care. That,
everybody has their own style.
Yeah. I mean, if someone's like, hey, you guys, I'm thinking about driving drunk with my kids this weekend. What do you think? Yes. I'm going to, like, intervene. I'm going to be like, no.
That's really not a good idea.
But if you're like, I feel bad. My kids eat fruit snacks. I'm like, oh, fuck it. Like, I am not going to die on that hill. So I think that's the other thing, too, is, like, that's probably why blogging, because when I did start blogging, it was very mommy blog stuff, and it was very like,
because I was a mommy blogger, and there was a lot of perfection out there. Yes, the perfect house, the perfect children, they were all perfectly dressed, and my blog was about not that. Mine was about the reality of being a single mother with 6 kids and 2 of them toddlers, and the chaos and taking a situation that could have been really like put me in tears, but putting a funny spin on it and making it humorous. So.
And see, that's exactly what I did too. Yeah. And now it's like, I'm thinking about like what people like judged me for when I was blogging is, and I still get a lot of emails about this, is people, but I consider this an accomplishment. I'm a good fucking cusser. And I can turn an F-bomb into just about anything. A verb, a noun. Like,
it's a very versatile word.
It is. And I know how to use the hell out of it. And I do use it liberally. And I will get emails from people saying, women shouldn't talk like that.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah. And a lot of times it's from other women, who are just like, you shouldn't talk like that. It's unladylike. And so I'm always like, go fuck yourself. Yeah. And so, like, I need to have, like, stickers made or, like, awards that are just like, here's the fuck off award. And then
I love it.
And then I can be like, you just deserved an award today. You earned yourself, this is an accomplishment for you.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
You should make a little meme and post that on people's comments. That's
a great idea.
Yeah, who are just total assholes. You should say, you won today's fucktard award or whatever. Put a little trophy.
Yeah, I will do that. Yeah, because I do get tired of that, and I do think that goes again with like the double standard of like men versus women. I'm like, do you think anybody emails Stephen King about his language in his books? Like,
no.
No. Yeah, and they're like, you're a dad. How could you?
I know, right? What if your children read this?
Well, and now his children writes one of his children writes even worse stuff than he does. So yeah. I think he turned out just fine.
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't know, but have you thought about any more accomplishments?
I think I've done a pretty good job of raising, so far, knock on wood, 6 children. Yeah. I have 3 adult children, and they are all turned out pretty well.
Yeah.
I mean, No,
I would say really well, because there's an episode, I don't remember which episode it is now, but I'm sure it's aired already, but we talked about your oldest son.
Yes.
You have younger kids, like 12 and 13.
12 and 13 and 16, and then I have older kids.
Right.
Yeah, and then 22, I just turned 29 and 31.
So the 31-year-old son comes home to take the younger kids out on dates when they've been good.
Yes.
Just just to go out to dinner or something like that. And I think that's amazing.
Yeah, and that was all his idea, and and he realized too that he doesn't live in the house with us anymore, and they're younger, and so he said he wanted a chance to make sure that he was still a part of their lives and important. Yeah. So.
I mean, that says something about your parenting.
Thank you. Yes. I'm gonna own
that one.
I'm gonna own that one.
She's owning it. You guys, you should see her though. She's so uncomfortable. She's so uncomfortable.
There's something wrong with me.
No, there's not. There's not. We just have to like break it down. That's all.
Yeah.
There's something wrong with both of us. There's something wrong with everybody. That's the whole thing too.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Are we running out of time?
We're about running out of time.
Okay,
so you need to tell me something else that you think you're really good at.
I'm really good at. Like, I think I'm a decent mom. I think I'm a good mom. I think that like my kids trust me. Like,
that's a lot.
And I think that's a lot. Like, I did not grow up in a very... my parents were good parents, but, like, anything bad. Like, if you said, I have a friend who's drinking, like, they were always like, are you that friend?
Okay.
It was like, there were a lot of conversations you could not have with my parents.
Because they would set off alarms for them.
Yeah.
Right? That didn't need to be rung.
Right.
Yeah.
And I just felt like, and so because of that, I didn't go to them with a lot of things, and I had a lot of misinformation about things. And so I decided very early on that I would raise my kids that, like, I want to be like their primary source of information for tough topics.
Yeah, that's good.
And so, and just to tell me everything about their day. My husband kind of gets jealous because he's like, oh, they talk to you. And I'm like, because I talk to them. Right. Because I listen to them. Like, he lectures them. Oh. And I try to listen to them. It's like, I'm sort of like, and what do you think about that? And they're just like, my friend's drinking. I'm like, and how does that affect you? And so we have a lot of conversations, and because of that, though, over the years now, as they are getting older and kind of being put into different situations that are maybe hard for them, they are turning to me. And so I think
so. You've laid that groundwork, and now, so that's great.
I'm glad about that.
Yeah.
And what else am I good at? I mean, you guys, I'm really fucking funny.
She is.
And
she definitely is.
I can usually make everybody laugh.
You're gonna next week, right? Is your comedy show? Yeah. I'm definitely gonna be there. It's on my calendar.
Super. Yeah. I mean, well, and that's the thing. Like this morning, the organizer emailed me and she told me that she'd given me too little bit of time. That like the show is not gonna be long enough. And so she was like, "Can you go longer?" And I was like, "Bitch, I can go for an hour." Give me the whole show. I'll be fine. But yeah, I do try to because my goal is to make people laugh every day.
And you definitely accomplished that.
And so
and that's why I reached out to you, because I knew that you had that capability. So I knew that you would make it fun. So it would, midlife is kind of it could be a depressing topic.
Oh God,
and again, both of us with our blogs, we put a funny spin on it, and that's kind of what we're doing now. So,
we're trying. Yeah. There's not much to laugh about.
We're muddling through. Laughing along the way.
Laughing all the way to menopause.
Okay, well, I hope you guys have liked this week's episode.
Yeah, please subscribe and keep following us everywhere you can find us.
Yeah, and I guess we'll talk to you next week.
Bye.
Bye. Hi, Denise here. I know you're sad because the podcast episode is over and now you have to wait an entire week to hear us again. But guess what? You don't have to wait. You can listen to one of our audiobooks. Like to listen to true crime podcasts? I've got several mystery series to choose from. Or maybe you prefer to listen to podcasts about The Bachelor. Check out one of my rom-com series. You can find these audiobooks and many more at Audible, Apple Audiobooks, or check out my website, denisegroverspank.com, and click on audiobooks in the menu at the top. Happy listening!